After this move is played, king to g3, my opponent plays h5, a complete and utter blunder, because the rook is hanging. In one move, one single move, my opponent hangs their rook in one single move. What is up, you chess brainiacs? Welcome back to another video on the Full Strive YouTube channel. Today, I'm going to be showing you the game where I defeated a national master in a game of chess. This national master's name is Robert Persante, and I actually want to pull up a quick bio here for you, and we're going to read this together. So I did a quick Google search on this guy, and Robert Persante is a prominent American chess player and a life master in the United States Chess Federation, which is also called USCF. He has been actively involved in scholastic chess, serving as a former president of the Florida Chess Association, where he noted a significant shift in the game's demographic, moving from a predominantly older male demographic to from a predominantly older male demographic to one exclusive of women, children, and people from diverse backgrounds. Reading is hard, apparently. Persante, if I'm saying his name incorrectly too, please let me know in the comments. Persante has also contributed to the governance of USCF, serving on the bylaws and committee since 2004. His competitive achievements include being a member of the U.S. amateur team the U.S. amateur team, which is the South champion team, Chaki's mate, I'm definitely butchering that too, which won the 2016 tournament. On that team, he played on the second board and scored 4.5 out of 5, although he was denied a board prize due to teammates who achieved perfect scores. Persante has also been recognized for his legal career, being a partner of the Persante Law Group PA and a member of several prestigious legal organizations, including the Litigation Council of American and Florida Super Lawyers. He is known by the chess username Cornwallite on chess.com, which is right here, where he holds the title of National Master, NM. Persante's chess career is intertwined with his professional life as a trial attorney and specializing in securities litigation, a field in which he is highly regarded. He has also been honored by the Barney Award for Professional Excellence in Law. So this dude, he has been playing chess for a number of years. He is a professional chess player. He has a title. To get a title in chess is absolutely unworldly, and you have to be playing chess consistently, and you have to win crazy tournaments against really good chess players. So this guy is definitely a very, very, very strong player. But I somehow pulled off a victory against him. And I'm going to show you exactly how I did that. So I don't have the timestamps for the clock for this game on the screen, and you're going to see the crazy plot twist at the end, because I know what a lot of y'all are probably thinking off the bat. But with that being said, guys, let's go ahead and get right into that game. All right, so in this match, I am playing with the white pieces, and my opponent, Mr. Robert Persante, will be playing with the black pieces. And this was an absolute clash, I will tell you. If any of you know me, I am an e4 player. I always open my games with e4. I think it is the best move. If you play d4, you definitely probably need some help. I will go ahead and contact an ambulance, but not for me. Joking, d4 is also a good opening, so if you play that, no hate. Just a little bit, because I'm a hater, but still love you. Anyways, I've been leading with e4. My opponent responds with c5, which is the Sicilian defense. So this line can get very, very tricky, very, very fast. And I usually play this the exact same way. I always bring my knight out first, which is good to develop this knight here and control some squares. And also eventually I'll probably get my bishop into the game somehow here maybe, or maybe even move my knight up here. Who knows? But in the Sicilian, it usually results in the same. My opponent pushes the pawn to a6. Most of the time they probably move their knight here usually, right? But no, my opponent plays a6 instead to try and throw me off my prep. The game continues with d4, and my opponent takes the pawn on d4, and I take back with the knight. So the knight is in the center of the board. I have a very, very solid development as it stands. Yes, it is very, very even right now, but my opponent does have questions that he has to answer, and he is more than capable of doing that because he is a national master, for crying out loud. So game continues with knight f6, and so now my pawn is under attack. It is in fact hanging, so I gotta do something to defend that. So I respond with bishop d3, which is a very principled move. I do two things with this move. So I move my bishop here to defend this pawn while also opening my king up to be able to castle. So after I play that move, my opponent responds now with e5, attacking my knight. And so now, after this move is played, I am going to have to slide my knight either here or here. And I chose to bring my knight back here to the f3 square. And so now I am attacking this pawn, and he's going to have to do something about that pawn. My opponent now responds with knight to c6, developing his knight. Very, very, very good stuff for my opponent. It is deadlocked as it stands, and we are both very much familiar with this sort of territory as it currently stands. So after this, I castle, and my opponent now plays bishop c5. And this move is very, very, very tricky because if I were to move my bishop up here, he takes, I take back, and now I have double pawns, and my position looks very, very tricky. However, if I don't do that, my pawn is currently being pinned to my king, so my pawn is practically useless as it stands. So whenever I get into a spot like this, I usually just play a3. I honestly couldn't tell you. Like, chess.com says that's a good move, but me personally, I probably would move my queen here sometimes, which probably still isn't a good move. Is that a good move? No, it's not a good move. a3 is a good move, actually. Wow. All right. Anyways, so the game continues with pawn to h6, played by my opponent, and I play the move b4, attacking the bishop, trying to make the bishop have to make a decision, either go back this way or go back this way. And my opponent vouches for the first option, which is sliding the bishop back. And now I move my queen up to e2. And I do this in an effort to, like I said, get the bishop up here eventually to finally get this bishop off of this pin to my king. And after this, my opponent castles and I play bishop b3. And after I play bishop b3, my opponent now plays bishop b8, which is actually a mistake. And the reason why he's doing this is because I've never seen this move in my entire life. I have, like, what is bishop b8? So he moved his bishop 3 times in the first 11 moves. So 9 times out of 10, that's probably not a good idea. Usually you don't want to move your bishops or your knights a lot super early on in the game. But my opponent's a national master, and clearly he has a plan, so we're going to find out exactly what it is. So after my opponent plays bishop b8, I could potentially push the pawn here to c4 and essentially take a bunch of space. But after I play c4, the engine's saying that my opponent can play knight e7 apparently, which is here. But that also undevelops a knight and makes things a little bit more tricky. So with all that being said, I've moved my knight here to c3, and my opponent now responds with d5, pushing the pawn forward to attack everything in the space, and he is also threatening a fork now, attacking my bishop and my knight, so I have to do something about this. So I vouch to take the pawn with the pawn. My opponent takes back with the knight, and I take right back with the knight, and he takes with the queen. So we are very, very, very solid here as it stands. I have a slight positional advantage, but he does, with that being said, I know I was kind of trashing this move a little bit. He does have an absolute sniper coming down here on my king side. And also, this pawn could always eventually push here too and fork everything, you know? So I move my bishop here to attack his queen, and his queen now slides back to d8. I respond with rook a1, attacking the queen, and his queen slides up to c7. And I am winning. I am winning in this position. I am +1 on the eval bar. You cannot see it on screen, but I am +1 on the eval bar. And the winning move here is to move the bishop to c5 here, attacking the rook, creating more pressure. And you can also play queen d3, perhaps a move like bishop d5, something along those lines. But instead I vouch for rook fe1, completely and utterly blending the game in one single move. Because if you spotted this, kudos to you. After this pawn push, my opponent now has a strike, and I mean an absolute strike coming down on my king side, and that is going to be catastrophic for me. Like I will lose the game if I move this knight. I genuinely will lose the game, because also, let's say I move my knight here, and he comes in here with check. Oops, yeah, his queen comes in here with check. I slide over here, his queen just comes down and it's checkmate. So I will lose the game. So I cannot move this knight. Instead, I play the move g3, which is a good move. It's not the best move on the board, but now my opponent does take the knight, and my queen takes back, and that is also a catastrophic move, apparently. A better move for me would have been to play queen d2, apparently, which essentially creates threats coming down here on his king's side, but I vouch for the latter. I took the pawn on f3, and my opponent now has a massive, massive advantage in everything that has to do with this game. So after I take this piece, my opponent responds with bishop e6. Not the best move on the board, but still a very solid move. A better move for my opponent to play here would have been knight e5. I'm not going to move there. Forking everything, because even if the queen slides up, there's now a double attack coming down on this bishop. So there's nothing I could do. But thankfully my opponent was nice to me and moved his bishop down there. After this move is played, I respond with the move bishop f4. And my point of that move is to attack the queen and get this diagonal just completely negated. I did not, in fact, need to do that, though, yet, because if you think about it, why did I play this move? I played this move to stop the threat. And with that move being played on the board, g3, the pawn being here covered by these two pawns, there's no threat there, so I did not need to worry about that so soon. Instead, I should have been more worried about trying to probably getting my bishop somewhere down here, maybe, perhaps. And the engine actually says taking the bishop here is good, too, because after takes, the rook's going to be attacking my queen. I will probably slide up here, and for me personally, I just thought there was just too much chaos there. So instead, I vouched to push my bishop up there, and also for reasons I just explained, I was also scared about after takes, rook coming down here and pinning my bishop to my queen. And then after this move is played, my opponent plays queen c8, very nicely, very calmly sliding the queen back to c8. I now play bishop d3, sliding the bishop back, and bishop takes on f4, and my queen takes on f4, because if you take with your pawns, that's actually very, very bad because of a damaged pawn structure. And pawns on these three squares is usually 9 times out of 10 bad, especially when you're down material. So after this move is played, my opponent plays bishop g4, attacking my rook. So I gotta do something about my rook now. So I play the move f3, attacking the bishop, which is actually the best move on the board. So I'm kind of proud of myself for that, you know? So the bishop now slides back to h5, and I play g4, attacking the bishop, making the bishop have to make a decision here, which is the only move on the board. And after this move, I take the bishop, he takes back, and I play queen e3. And I have a lot of ideas and threats that are brewing, and my opponent still has a lot of questions that he has to answer. I have checks coming here, perhaps. I can't play here because then the queen would just trade, and ideally, when you are down material, you do not want to trade material as much as you possibly can. And after I play this move, my opponent does respond with queen c7, coming down here to create a diagonal threat coming down all these squares. Oops. That does open the gate up now for a check, but that check low-key becomes useless because the king can slide here or here, and it's safe by all these pawns and this rook, mind you. So after c7 is played, I now play the move queen b3 check, trying to throw a check in there, trying to create something, anything I can possibly muster to try and pull off the unthinkable upset. My opponent responds with king h7. I play c4 now, and my opponent now responds with rook a8, and I play rook c1, because in my head I'm trying to get material off, or keep material on the board, but this is catastrophic because of rook d2, because now there's a big threat coming down here, and I'm going to be cooked here in a matter of moments. But instead, my opponent plays rook b1, completely and utterly blundering the position in one single move. Mind you, a national master made this move, and I couldn't believe my eyes. I was like, am I seeing this correctly? Where's the tactic? What am I seeing right now? The best move is to take with the queen, but I've actually take with the rook. And after I do take this rook, my opponent now plays queen f4, and I respond with the cool, calm rook f1. And that completely and utterly blunders everything I ever had as far as a winning position. A better move for me to play in that spot particularly would have been queen c3, because I'm up 3 pieces of material right now after that rook blundered coming down here to the d1 square. And if the queen takes here, I'm honestly happy with that, because I just take the queen and the rook's gonna take, and literally, like, I'm gonna get this rook down here. If the rook takes here, I'm gonna get this rook over here. Actually, no, I'm not, because then the knight would take here. I'm just gonna collect this pawn, and like, I'm doing just fine. But instead, I let my nerves get to me, and I played rook f1. And this is a blunder because of knight d4. And now there are 3 attackers on this piece. And also, mind you, my queen is now under attack. So I have to move something, and I have to move something right now. And it's going to have to be my queen. So after this move, I slide my queen over to queen d3. And my opponent responds with knight e6, which is a catastrophic blunder for a move that you would not expect, which is rook to e1. Because after rook to e1, the knight is now under fire. And if this rook slides over to cover, I'm going to bring my queen here and attack these 2 pieces on these squares. So my opponent would have to move the knight here, right? Now, after knight d4, rook e3, knight c6. And I'm up 3 pieces of material, and essentially my opponent doesn't have any more threats. Now I respond with queen b6, Not the best move on the board, but I still maintain a slight advantage. I'm also attacking this rook and the knight, and my opponent plays queen e3 check. The literal only move that can save this position and keep the game alive for what it stands. Yes, he is down a lot of material, but he played an exquisite move in crunch time, and I have to move my king now. So I set my king up to g2, but I didn't need to move my king there. I need to move my king to h1 because after the knight comes in to f4 with check, I have to move my king again now. All this is happening, by the way. I'm still winning. I'm still in a winning position here as it stands. Yes, the knight is going to come back down here and check my king. My king's going to go right back to g2. And in my head, I'm like, oh, great. I'm just going to get a draw. Yes, big draw. I'm going to survive. I'm going to live to tell the tale. The knight comes back now to f4, creating a check. I move my king up to g3. But after this move is played, king to g3, my opponent plays h5. A complete and utter blunder because the rook is hanging. In one single move, my opponent hangs their rook in one single move. But I don't fight it. I move my rook over to e1, and now the game is drawn again. And I'm losing, which is just fantastic. After this move is played, my opponent now pushes the pawn forward to h4. Best move on the board, mind you. And I now have to take this pawn. That is my only move on the board. I couldn't go here or here because the knight was covering those squares, and I also couldn't go here because the queen was covering, right? So my opponent now plays knight g2, and now I'm going to lose a rook. I'm going to literally lose a rook. And after knight takes on e1, in this position, I played queen d1 and won the game. My opponent ran out of time. This is a catastrophic blunder for reasons that are probably pretty obvious. I should have taken the rook there, obviously. But instead of doing that, I now open the door for checks. My opponent can now play queen f4, and now my king is going to have to go somewhere else. He's probably going to have to go, but top edge move here is king h3. And after queen h6 check, I have to move my king back to g3. If I go here, it's going to be mate in 3 eventually. Because our queen takes on h2, king e3. If I were to go here, mate would be brewing in just a couple of moves. Rook e8 check. Oh, I have no move here and then here, and that would have been checkmate. Because the queen's covering this entire file. And if I go here, rook e8 check. Only move is here. And this is checkmate as well, because my king can't go here, because the knight's covering. But instead, I played queen d1 and won the game in dramatic and complete and utter unbelievable fashion. And after this game concluded, I took to Instagram bragging, "Oh, I beat a national master. I beat him. I'm better than him. I'm the goat of chess. I'm so good. I'm really, really good at chess. I swear, guys." Yeah, it's time for the plot twist now, guys. So this game specifically, it was a bullet game. All those moves were played within like second time spans, and yeah. But hey, I'm still counting that as a win. I beat a national master, and I'm not gonna lie, that's a pretty cool bragging right to have. And I bet you could probably beat a national master too someday, if you stick with chess and you keep grinding and keep getting better every single day. You are the greatest chess project you're ever gonna have. And chess is so beautiful because there are honestly no limitations to how much you can learn. So stick with it, keep getting better, and you're gonna be the national master too. Probably in bullet chess like me. But yeah, that is my story of how I beat a national master. So guys, if you enjoyed this video, I would genuinely, truly, really appreciate it if you left a like and commented and told me what you thought of this game. This game was really, really interesting, and I'm gonna be honest, I didn't realize he was a national master until probably right around the 30-second mark of the game, or when I had 30 seconds on my clock, he had like 26 seconds on his clock, and it was just absolute chaos, absolute mayhem. But when I realized, I started getting really nervous and sweaty, and I was like, oh. But if you played against a National Master, how do you think you would fare? Would you get obliterated? Would you be able to defeat them? If it was bullet chest, would you be able to beat this guy? This guy clearly has the accolades, right? Like, there's no way, right? Comment and tell me what you think. And also, if you enjoy chess content, I would truly appreciate it if you could subscribe to my channel. I post these videos every single day, and we are growing by the second. And every single one of you that subscribes is truly appreciated, and I genuinely believe that you will appreciate and enjoy this content that I put out on my channel. And also, we have a Discord server. The link is going to be in the description down below. And we host chess tournaments, daily checkmates. We are about to launch a chess rank system where as you progress in chess, you gain points and cooler roles in the Discord server, and a bunch of other cool, awesome stuff with like-minded people who are on fire for the game that we all love. If that sounds like something you would enjoy, I highly recommend you check it out. And also, guys, if you enjoyed this video, please be sure to check out this video. This video is really, really fun to make, and I think you'll find it very, very interesting. So, for the final time, guys, thank you all so much for watching, and I hope you all have a great rest of your day. Peace.